So I was born in Kimberley on the 12th of April 1981.
I used to love playing a lot as a child. I mean, even at school, I would play what they call amagusha.
It was a very interesting time because it was still part of apartheid, sort of.
Apartheid was in full force at that time, and movement was somewhat limited, and there were all these tribal divisions, you know.
I was a dark, scrawny kid, and to get everybody on my side, I learned how to rap, you know what I mean? And I became cool in primary school.
My dad, we were very close. I mean, we were very close. I remember every time he came back from work, I would run to him, and then I would have a ride in the car, and I know you'd have Tropica and cheese curls.
I didn't realize I didn't have a father until some guy showed up on my 5th, 6th birthday. Randomly, it was like, boom, this is your dad.
I grew up with my dad being a musician. I've seen all kinds of musicians coming in and out the house. Brenda Fassie, like a whole lot of people.
All my uncles would meet they converge at my grandmother's house. And they all start singing their parts unsolicited, untrained. But the music was so glorious that, I'm actually getting goosebumps when I remember that.
My love for music definitely began in Kimberley. It wasn't as conscious back then.
I didn't really know I would be a musician one day. It was just something that I was grown into.
I kind of knew that, okay, I can sing, but I never thought at that time, that this would be something that I wanted to do.
KG, who's my childhood friend, we literally started this music thing together.
In our school books, you would do your schoolwork this side, then at the back it was all song lyrics.
I don't know why, but I was just one of those weird, shy people. And the only thing that completed me was music. And Lance, the founder of Ghetto Rough, came up with the concept of an all-girl group.
I met with Theo at a talent search competition in Kagiso. And until I finally said, you know what, let's do this. The two of us will see how it goes.
Being a technical producer for DJ Fresh probably did catapult what was already in the works.
When Jabba was ready, for him to make that move, then we moved into Jabba's place.
We had signed a record deal with A&M Records.
The minute Diamba Nawe was released, it became an instant hit. Within a couple of months, the album already sold over 250,000 copies.
It felt good to be a part of a movement, that represented something much more bigger,
Music is very strange. It has a way of uncannily attracting, drawing attention to one. And we were attracting all these beautiful women. Everywhere we went, yo!
Being in a group is not easy, especially an all-girl group. So you can imagine the amount of fights we had, arguments, disagreements, etc., etc.
Everything that was happening was so positive, and we're having such a great time, and our dreams were becoming true, traveling around the continent, traveling around Africa, and it was Valentine's Day, 2004. We heard the most awful, terrible, horrible news that Tebogo has been shot and he passed on. The news was such a big shock, and they were so painful because it was something that was so unexpected.
It's like a blur to me now, and I think, that night, the shooting incident, it's fading, and which is a good thing. Because, then there was a time it would just kind of replay and all over and over again in my head so much that I almost kind of became a little obsessed about it,
I've been through so much, in the industry, and things that have really broken me to ultimately being suicidal and suffering from depression.
The band, of course, split. Just at the verge of us really hitting big time. For me, that was one of the most painful experiences. I came home, we all came home, and the 2-year hiatus for me was obviously for me to make a decision as to whether I needed to continue or I don't.
You don't understand how much it means to me. It's the only thing I have that gives me life. It gives me every reason to be. So if this one thing that I have does not fulfill me, I have no reason to be around here.
It was difficult for us, it was difficult for the record company. It was a big blow, it was a big blow for Mafikizolo that after all of these years, struggling and struggling and struggling, and finally when things were starting to happen for us, we lose a member.
I recorded a song, my first recording as a solo artist, called Set Me Free. The song became huge.
Maphorisa played this beat by mistake. And then we listened to the beat and he was like, oh, no, not this one. Then we're like, no, go back to the beat, So he went back and we were like, we want this song, we want it. He was like, really? Are you sure? We're like, we want this song.
Then I recorded another track called Rise. Rise became even bigger than Set Me Free.
This song, Corner, is the song. Oscar immediately took it to radio and then they started playing this song, And it just went crazy on Twitter. Everybody was speaking about the song.
Then the biggest one came, Burnout. Wow. And in one day of its release, 200,000 copies were sold.
Just as much as we were not ready for what was about to happen, I don't think people were ready either, for that sound revolution.
I'm one of those guys that are just so blessed, and I'm always in awe of it all, I always knew I could rap. I just never thought I'd be like a multi-award-winning guy, so.
I was shaking. I was like, we've been nominated at the BETs, and Theo couldn't believe it. And I was like, it doesn't end there. We've been asked to go and perform at the BET Experience.
Being awarded is a recognition of your potential.
It felt like that's the moment I've been working for and waiting for all my life.
The moment you speak your vision, it becomes real. I believed in myself, I took the risks, I jumped into the deep end, I did the backstroke, I did everything, and I'm still doing it. I'm still learning, I'm still finding.
Empowering ourselves with knowledge is probably most important.
What else was there for me to do but to think back, hey, have I completed my matric? No, you haven't. So I went in and I registered and I enrolled. I was going to school on a daily basis.
The young generation have taught us not to be afraid.
I think there's an entire generation that came before us that took it to a particular level. In the same vein, the current generation is taking it from where we left it and taking it even higher.
Whatever you decide to do in life, ensure that society, your community, remains beneficiaries. And it must be for the good and advancement of men.
I want to be remembered as a person that followed her dream, a girl that followed her dream.
I still long for a day that we don't have to compete in our own territory, for support, to be heard, for corporates,
That it's time to just, take over the whole globe,
Like, hey, find your life, and I'm like, this is my life,